People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thank you for tuning in. Now, as we know, it's the international break. There isn't too much to talk about. I've been sat here for the last few days. I've asked some of you lot, and I've been thinking, who is our most underrated players at Arsenal Football Club? Let's see who I've got, man. You know, there's many players that you could think are overrated or underrated. It's just a bit of fun, really. First up, Tomiyasu. I know the modern game has kind of left him in what Arteta demands. I know he isn't quite as the most glamorous on the ball, but I do think he's a very underrated squad member and a very underrated defender when we need to defend, if I'm completely honest with you. Next up, you've got Martinelli. Now, I think he gets plenty of plaudits. I just feel when you talk about his ceiling in relation to the Salibas, the Sakas, the Odegaards, I don't think people deep how good he can actually be, if I'm completely honest. Next up, I would say Eddie Nketiah. You don't have to like him, but I think he's really shown he can be a number two, and I think he's developing into an all-rounded striker, if I'm honest with you. Next up, I have Gabriel, the centre-half. I don't think he gets a lot of plaudits. I know he has a lot of errors in his game, but I just feel he doesn't get the plaudits for his passing. He doesn't get the plaudits for how he's the more front-footed defender in relation to Saliba. I don't think he's rated enough. He doesn't even have his own chant. Benjamin White, again, you know, I think when we play well, I think he leads by example. I don't think he gets enough plaudits. We've got another Rolls Royce. Aaron Ramsdale, again, another one who makes mistakes, but there's been plenty of games, especially away from home. That man has kept us in it, really, and long may it continue. I'm happy to see the battle between him and David Raya. Don't forget to let me know your thoughts. Again, people, I'd say Jorginho. You speak to people within the game of football and how the players speak of him. He's a leader, he's a role model, and he's very intelligent on the ball. And I think he's a vital squad player, at least for this season. He's not going to be a starter, but you get where I'm going with that. I would also say El Nene. Now, he's someone that shouldn't probably be at the club, but I don't think he's a poor footballer. And I think, you know, for 10 odd games a season, bringing him off the bench to help close out games, I think he's competent in that role. Obviously, I'd like other people, but big up El Nene. Thomas Partey, I would say, because some Arsenal fans were saying to sell him and things. I mean, there's plenty of question marks, but I don't think Partey gets enough plaudits, if I'm honest. I do have question marks of Thomas, but yeah. Controversial one, and one with controversy. I would say Kai Havertz, because it doesn't seem like anybody seems to necessarily rate him. So surely if no one rates you, you're underrated, really. And again, I think he's someone that obviously I want to see more in an Arsenal shirt. But when you look at him, I think he's someone that Arteta and his players would appreciate the dirty work he does in the game, really and truly, as shown by the various statistics you can see in front of me. Now, I'm not saying, you know, that's to make excuses, because you should be doing all of this off the ball stuff anyways, on top of showing your quality on the ball. But if nobody seems to rate Kai Havertz, definitely where Arsenal's concerned, even though the jury's out after 4 games, surely the man's got a case of being underrated. For what it's worth, I think he's rated just about all right in what he's shown in an Arsenal shirt and a Chelsea shirt. But yeah, I thought I had a duty to include him. Next up, you have Trossard. Now, this is mainly what I asked you lot for players, and you'd say Trossard. Me personally, I don't necessarily think Trossard is underrated. I think, you know, he should get more minutes and stuff, but I think he's rated just about fine. If anything, I think he's probably overrated. I would say Reece Nelson, obviously can't really buy a game, much less consistent starts, but I still think he's got a decent ceiling. And I think last season, in his own way, came into his own. We hope he can stay fit and play a more significant part of the season, really. And he was highly rated when he came through the academy. I would say Kirill, because he's barely got any real minutes. As you know, there's competition in defense, but I do like how Kirill's performing. I didn't like the last game he played for Poland, but that weren't in an Arsenal shirt. Another one which some fans, when I asked on Twitter, said Cedric. I don't agree with it. I don't think he's as poor as we make out, but I don't agree with Cedric being underrated for what it's worth, people. But if you do, it is what it is. Next up, and finally, I would say Zinchenko, purely because as another one, I don't think he's rated enough. I don't think he's as bad defensively as people make out. Obviously, he has a lot of frailties. And 9 times out of 10, when we've had those great team performances, Zinchenko's been a key part. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on who you would say.